Hey, what's up, everyone? Coach Link here for Missing Link Fitness LLC. Thank you for joining me today. Here, I like to talk about the holistic approach to health and fitness, of course. And today, I'm just going to jump right into body types. What body type are you? Do you know what body type you may be? And you're probably going, "What are you talking about, body type?" Yeah, I'm either this or I'm that, because, But anyway, what I wanted to do for like your weight loss and fitness goals. So I wanted to look at body types. You probably even heard of the body types at one point or another. Some probably never heard nothing of them at all. So it's like eating towards, for a body type. That's the question. The truth about body type dieting for ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs. All right, so I got some material here. I've done the research on these before, and they are a good tool. It helps. So what I want to do, so I'm going to jump right in here. Let me scroll down. And so here we go. All right, there's three different body types. All right, you got an ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. All right, an ectomorph is is thin, narrow, delicate, fragile, linear, and poorly muscled. All right, so that's probably somebody look at what you figure is like really frail, kind of frail looking, and probably and pretty much, well, they can eat like pretty much anything you want. They just don't gain the muscle mass, even the body fat. And you think, oh, that's a great thing. We hate those people. Well, a lot of times they struggle with that because some, I've worked with ectomorphs and too, and that's what they work on, trying to gain weight, because they just got like super fast metabolism. They work out well. It's just trying to get the, getting more of the muscle mass on them. So, I do like calorie increases and stuff for them, but I want to be careful. I don't want to have them eating a bunch of junk food and things like that, so they have to eat, but anyway, so ectomorphs, you got an endomorph is soft, round, pudgy, and overweight. Mesomorph is broad-shouldered, narrow in the waist and hips, muscular, compact, and athletic. All right, so I'm going to go down here. Endomorphy is relative fatness or leanness as determined by the sum of three skin folds taken at the triceps, subscapular, and suprailiac. The higher the sum of the folds, the higher the endomorphy score. All right, mesomorphy is a muscle mass relative to height. It's determined by the width of the elbow and knee, flexed arm circumference. I always want to say circumference. Circumference corrected with tricep skin fold, and calf circumference corrected with medial calf skin fold. Ectomorphy is the lack of body mass, body fat, and muscle mass relative to height, and is determined using someone's height and weight. All right, so once you got these calculated, these values are plotted on a triaxial graph to determine a person's, body type. So those you can do, and it means like going into a graph. There's also calculators and things like that. You can even research online. All right, so let's go down here. And so body type is not a life sentence. Okay, so you think, well, what if I'm this body type, what if I'm that body type, and I can't lose, I can't gain, blah, blah, blah. All right, so don't stress yourself over that. Okay, components, the body type like that is components of like fat mass, lean mass, muscle, and the ratio between the two, not unlike measuring someone's body composition. That's why over the years, the body types has become an assessment tool for medical professionals and researchers, similar to body mass index, BMI. While neither is perfect system, both BMI and the body type are simpler and more affordable than other measurement tools, which makes them accessible to more people. That's why just as BMI can change over time, so can body type. All right, of course, we get older, hormonal changes and things, and also probably, telling what kind of crap food you've been eating along the way, that changes in the hormones stuff. Also, BMI is, I went through a BMI one time for my health insurance. They do every annual, like you could add more, take some away, whatever you wanted to do, cancel it, anything like that. Well, they do like blood pressure checks and stuff. They draw blood and stuff. And also they do like your height and weight. Well, used to the old standard was when they done my height and weight, I'd always come in the red. I was in obesity. I was just because, I work out and got muscle, and bodybuilding stuff. But anyway, that's what they were like, well, we know you're not fat, but I'm like, you ain't raising my insurance rates, okay? Ain't gonna happen. No, you ain't gonna do it. You're gonna figure something out, because I'm not paying any more health insurance rates or something when I already eat good and stuff like that and work out. But anyway, they did change it. So they started checking the circumference. I mean, it's doing a waistline measurement. So then that went to the new practice, and that's what they did every time. So that helped. All right, so I don't want raising my insurance rates, man. And nobody wants that, right? All right, so is there an association between the body types and personality? No. All right, it turns out people with ectomorph bodies are not the only ones who feel self-conscious. Similarly, people with mesomorphic body types don't necessarily take more risk than people with other body types. So in other words, we all have a body and we all have a personality, but our bodies do not necessarily influence our personalities and vice versa. Is there an association between the body types and genetics? Yes, based on studies that looked at identical twins. They know the mesomorphy and ectomorphy are both highly linked to genetics, both about 70%, while endomorphy is much lower, 30%. For comparison, height and also of about 80%. So is there an association between the body types and athletic performance? Yes. Research has also linked the body types with the fast twitch muscle variation of ACTN3, the only gene associated with power athletes. Mesomorphs are more likely to have this fast gene than other body types, which may explain why sprinters tend to fall into the mesomorphic body type. Elite marathon runners tend to be ectomorphs, while elite sumo wrestlers are usually more endomorphic. Okay. Of course, they eat different. Is there an association between the body types and cardiovascular disease? Yes. Because of this, you may be more or less likely to develop high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, and other heart disease risk factors. Here's why. Fat and muscle both serve as a endocrine, there we go, organs that produce hormones and proteins. Fat makes substances called adipokines. I want to say adipokines, so that's all one word too. And skeletal muscle make myokines. Recent studies suggest that these substances regulate high blood pressure, which is hypertension, and overall myokines is from muscle tissue seem to decrease hypertension with adipokines. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but hey, I don't care. Research, okay, from fat tissue increase it. So should you eat for your body type? That's the question. Mostly no. All right. So use body type as a tool for guide advanced clients. I've done that too, using like a body type, but I'm doing it more so like in the calculations and stuff too, to a person's activity level as well. But that is kind of roughly used in there. So clients who've already mastered nutrition fundamentals and higher level of performance or aesthetic goals, and is more or less, kind of, well, they already know. How about that? I mean, as far as when it comes to eating for the body type, so it depends on the goal. Okay, so that's what they're eating for, is like what they need, like a marathon runner, stuff like that. You need more carbohydrates basically because you need the energy in there. But for like a sumo, you're going to gain most of the mass if you're eating carbs. You just want to be heavier. So you see the difference. It's not just so much energy, you just want to be like, want to be heavier than your opponent. So importantly, they're just general conceptual categories, principles that can potentially help target nutritional strategies. Body types are not carved in stone. They're not the basis for nutritional rules, nor are they specific, a specific system. Body types are a proxy for thinking about possible differences in metabolism, activity types, and nutritional needs. All right, so let's go on down here. So who does benefit from the body typing? Two types of people generally fall into this camp: high performance athletes and people who couldn't achieve their goals through foundational strategies alone. But those are, in very rare cases, altering micronutrient breakdowns based on body type, or more specifically fat to muscle ratio, can be an effective strategy, but only after someone has mastered the fundamentals. It's kind of having to it's just doing some research on it. Once you figure it out for yourself, a little bit, like doing some more research and, things, you'll learn it. It's not really that hard. It's kind of, well, first it seems like a lot of this is in your face. It's kind of like, oh man, that's a lot to take in. And you probably look at a lot of resources trying to figure it out. And I know people who have, where, I've had them come to me as to be trained a lot of times, because they've done everything they can. They're getting so much information, and there's a lot of information that can be overwhelming. So, hey, you can get a trainer. I mean, I'll be a trainer too. I also train online, just saying, anyway. So you see how that goes. Some people's like, you're paying for your health, okay? You're paying when you're getting trained. You're paying to be taught. Okay. You don't want to look at it just, okay, I want to just be in the best shape, lose weight and things like that. You're also learning something from that. All right. So you're just looking at, don't make it just a destination thing. You're just learning to make yourself better and better quality of life, from young to old. Okay. Let's see, master foundational nutrition habits. All right. So consume mostly whole foods. Whole foods includes fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, and legumes, whole fresh cuts of meat, and poultry, seafood, and nuts and seeds. I know you've heard this probably before. I've heard it so many times. Yes, eat the whole foods and things like that. Choose whole foods over processed ones whenever possible, aiming to make small improvements to each meal. Small goals. All right, if you got a long term, the long term goal, try to do it the first week, 2 or 3 days. Start small. I'm telling you, it makes it so much easier. You accomplish the small goal, it'll be on your way to getting the big goal, and you'll be learning so much along that way, and it'll be a lot easier. Eat slowly. This practice helps you become more aware of what you eat, how much you eat, and why. You'll also learn to eat less automatically because you'll tune into your natural fullness cues. So that's it. Eating slowly, 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 slowly. So you're like a little bit, because sometimes, we've all been there. Been so hungry and like famished. I mean, we're just pounding food away when we finally get the opportunity, and we're just slamming it. Next thing you know, we overeaten, and now we're just stuffed full, like, oh God, And so, and I ain't talking about Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, I'm just talking about just any regular time, like coming after home from work or something. So eat until you're satisfied but not stuffed. That's another thing. You can learn that. Your stomach over time will shrink. So when you're actually on a diet and you do, say you do some calorie reduction, you start feeling the difference, you start seeing some difference and stuff like that. And sometimes you've heard, my eyes are bigger than my stomach. And next thing you know, you figure like, man, I can eat a horse. And then you start nibbling on a couple of nuts, and all of a sudden you're done. You're satisfied. That happens. Kind of what you want, but it does, because your stomach's done shrunk enough to where it really got full pretty quick. All right, emphasize protein and vegetables. Emphasizing these two categories at meals will help you lose fat, build muscle and strength, feel full, dial down hunger, and improve your health. All right, so for most people, this means aiming for 1 to 2 palm size portions of lean protein, 1 to 2 fist size portions of vegetables at most meals. If you hate veggies, hey, there's some veggies. I mean, everybody, is not going to like the same vegetables. Me, I like broccoli. Most people are trying to, I can't stand broccoli. Okay, well, don't eat it. All right, you got spinach, there's other vegetables that you can get out there to replace that. All right, so you want those lower dense, and also you're getting the fiber. So track your food intake, and I'll tell you what, this is tracking your food intake does help. And then you figure, okay, what am I tracking? Am I writing it down? Am I carrying a journal throughout the day? Hey, if you prefer that, you can do that. But I'll tell you what, if you get a FitnessPal, it's a free app. You can go to your Play Store or whatever. You can download that, and you can put in your whole profile in there, your activity level and things, and what your goal weight, what you want to be at and stuff. And this thing will break it down for you a whole day. You're talking about breakfast, snacks, brunch, snack, afternoon snack, dinner, that kind of thing like that. And it'll help you track. And all you got to do is go in there and plug in the foods. And a lot of these foods are stored in that, like a library that they have. So it ain't like you got to type everything and then try to figure it out. A lot of times that stuff is in there. And then once you do, say some of it, if it's not, and once you put it in there, it's programmed there from then on. So if you go back in there days later, stuff like that, and you say you're eating this one particular thing you've eaten before, you got to put it in there. It'll put it in there for you. And it gives you the calculation right there, how many protein, carbohydrates, and things like that you have. It does make a difference. I've used it, the FitnessPal, many times for like cutting weight and stuff, and it does help a lot. So that's something. FitnessPal, my FitnessPal. And so consider that. All right, so that'll help you stay on track. So modify your macros based on your goals and or body type. This is where the body type might come into play, sort of. So most people don't need to eat specific macros for the body type, and that's okay. Okay, so people whose body type interferes with their goals it really is harder for an endomorph to lose weight, for example, than an ectomorph. Conversely, it's also more difficult for an ectomorph to put on muscle than it is for an endomorph. Usually consistently implementing step 2 described above insufficient, but is the rare case. It's not like the step 3 can help. And I'm reading some material here. So, and that means like eating, like the proteins, you got the fish, and you got, this is like your fats, okay? Protein, you got some like veggies, carbohydrates, one of them, something like that. High-level performance athletes such as powerlifters, bodybuilders, and marathon runners. For these people, the customized macro plan with personalized percentages of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins can make the difference between performing meh and reaching a personal best. That does make a difference. All right, if you're a marathon runner, you probably heard a lot of marathon runners are going to be running, especially, I'm going to say 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever. They're going to eat more carbohydrate for energy. So I've heard them like eating a lot of pasta and things. So that makes a difference. And you look at them and they have no weight. I had a friend of mine that was a bicycler, like I would say professional bicycler. I mean, he would eat a lot, and he was lean and stayed lean. He had a good build on him and stuff like that. So when he finally retired that a little bit, he wasn't doing that same diet as much. You could tell he kind of filled out. I didn't say he got fat, but you could tell the difference in there. But that's what he did, mostly have that energy to do, what he wanted to do. So you see how that works. Okay. Losing fat. All right. Through this eating plan is based on the endomorphic body type. It works for anyone with a fat loss goal, including mesomorphic athletes who just want to shed some fat in order to get completely shredded. That means like if they're shredding some fat, some of it's just making weight class too. So you want to not just look good, and also perform well. Some of it's where you're trying to make, certain weight category. So to reach that goal, use the approximate macros: 35% protein, 25% carbohydrate, 40% fat. Don't let all this information even overwhelm you. I'm just giving pointers here, little tips and things. I recommend doing your research on the body types and stuff, and you kind of figure out how to put your plan together and stuff like that. But this kind of gives you that breakdown. Using your hand portion system, a general framework for that looks, and again, that's the 1 to 2 palms, all right, protein, all right. That's dense foods at each meal, 1 to 2 fists of vegetables, 1 to 2 cup handful of carbs, all right, dense food at each meal. Now, I might have said fist back there a little while ago for like the carbohydrate, but anyway, so you got your carbohydrates there. Thumb, you got 3 to 4 thumbs size, all right, of fat dense foods at each meal. That's like eating avocados. You want to eat some foods that's like naturally, has fats in it. Also like your, your olive oil, fish oils, your coconut oils, things like that. But look into those things. What are healthy fats? You can also Google that, or something, research. All right. Push endurance or gain muscle. If you're doing high volume exercise, such as long distance running or cycling, that is the plan for you. You'll consume macros designed for the slender ectomorphic body type, like a muscle, like a fat. Whether you're a natural ectomorph or not, even if your body type is more mesomorphic, you're more likely to reach this goal if you follow an ectomorphic style diet that includes proportionally more carbohydrates, less fat, and moderate protein. Now, with that being said, even for me, in my workout days, I'll cut back more like the calories. So when I'm into a cutting phase, and I'll cut back more on my carbohydrates because I can eat even some of the healthiest carbs, and I feel like, I gain, say really more weight out of it. But I'll just kind of manipulate those and make that adjustment, and it's worked well for me. I've dropped, since the beginning of this year, I've dropped 30 pounds. All right. Now, I was even eating healthy then. I was just kind of, eating, like wheat bread or something like that, maybe. But I was kind of like letting the carbohydrates because I like fruit. So I was probably eating a little more fruits and stuff like that. But all I did is kind of cut that back. Now, I ain't saying that's going to work for you. It may, but I'm just saying that's, an example. But for me, that's what I did, was change that. So, again, it's like calorie reduction. Some of my calorie reduction. So say like you're doing 2,500 calories normally in a day, just for an example, cut back to 23. You're going to notice the difference. Okay, so with that, it's 25% protein, 55% carbohydrates, 20% fat. All right, so don't drive yourself crazy with the macro math, okay? You don't have to do that. Some people do some weights and stuff, all these foods and stuff you've probably seen. I'm sure you've seen videos here, weigh this, weigh that. Now, if you want to get into that and give it a shot, hey, by all means, do it. But, that depends on like if you're going out for bodybuilding competition or something. If you're an athlete and something, you're really trying to pay attention to that, that may be more resourceful. But if you're just everyday living, you go to work, you just want to look better, you want to feel better, you want to be healthier, you ain't got to go into that much detail. You can kind of tell by looking in the mirror, making some of the adjustments, and you'll do fine. Okay. So 1 to 2 palms of protein dense foods at each meal. It's the palms again. The fist of vegetables at each meal. 3 to 4 cupped handfuls of carb-dense foods at each meal, and 1 to 2 thumbs of fat-dense foods at each meal there. All right, so you see, get the gist. All right, so boosting power. This is more for you mesomorphic, need more explosive power to knock off your next workout or boost your hockey. So workout of the day, I say boost your hockey, soccer, sprinting, or basketball game. So you're on the move, okay? Then you'll want to eat like a mesomorph, low fat, high muscle. So you can add muscle while staying lean. There you go. So, and with that, so you got 30% protein, 40% carbohydrates, 30% fat. Again, if you're being pretty active athletically or something, you're going to take in some carbs. You want good dense carbs. You don't want fast carbs. And fast carbs mean like table sugar type, processed crap. So you consume fast digesting carbohydrate dense foods and or drinks during intense exercise sessions as needed. Now you can take something like some of the sports drinks that have some of the sugars in it, but you don't want to do an overabundance, but you're kind of sipping on these, so to speak, throughout whatever it is you're doing, the game and stuff like that, so you can keep some active energy, going on. You got like potassium and stuff as well. Depends on how much you're sweating, those things like that. You understand? During meals, your carbohydrate intake should focus on whole, minimally processed carbohydrate-dense foods in moderation, aiming to about 3 to 1 veggie to fruit ratio. So in other words, 3 veggies for every 1 fruit serving. All right. So using, again, this is going back into the hand portion size, 1 to 2 palms of protein-dense foods, 1 to 2 fists of vegetables, 2 to 3 cupped handfuls of carb-dense foods at each meal, 2 to 3 thumbs of fat-dense foods at each meal. So you adjust as you need it. So the first few steps may help people reach their goals, but there's always outliners. If again, you can make adjustments to these things, and you're going to pretty much through your journey. It's not like you got to make, intense, once you're learning the basics, basic 11, stuff like that. Some of them, you don't really have to make adjustments. And that means like even if you get, like you cut some weight, so you do make the calorie difference. All of a sudden you kind of plateau at a certain weight, can't seem to get past that point. Not really cutting your calories even more, it's going to push it past that point, because really your metabolism's stalled out a little bit. So your body's hanging on to what body fat you do have. So it's like your metabolism's up here, it goes down here. Okay, so it's just hanging on that, so you can't get past that point. So instead of cutting the calories or something even more, you can have, that's where I like to throw in a cheat meal sometimes. Boost your calories on one, not a whole day. I'm saying when it's cheat meals means eat some pizza, hamburger, something you want. But like now, sometimes if I'm going to eat healthy, I might boost my calories for the day, but I'm eating really clean calories though. And I'll just push my calories upwards just to stoke my metabolism back up, and then back into the next day or so, I'm back down, bringing my calories back down. So now my metabolism firing high, and it's burning through, helping burn through, get past that plateau. You can do that. Experiment. So you see how that works. Our bodies don't know what you're doing, when you're like trying to cut weight and stuff. It's not aware. So it's what it tries to do is save your butt, from dying. All right. So let's see. We're looking here. Again, this goes with like whatever, activities and stuff you're doing. Okay. So that's it for that. So that's that. I just took out some pointers. Some bullet points basically to that. So look at it, what kind of, that depends too, like what kind of activity. When you're doing some calculations, you can go on there and do like calculation about what your caloric needs and things like that to find out what you need. And it should ask you what your activity level is. Now, I ain't talking about just going to the gym, working out, cardio and stuff like that. What's your activity like through the day? What's your job? Like you somebody that goes out every day and frame houses, kind of things. So you're on the move, you're picking up wood, all kinds of stuff. So you're on the move pretty much all day. Or you're someone who does office work, sits behind a computer a lot more. So they're not out moving a lot. So they have to be careful with how many calories and stuff that they take in, because they're just not moving about enough, to like burn those calories up. Or, like a warehouse worker or something like that, where you're picking up, unloading trucks, maybe by hand, picking up boxes, moving things about. So your body's getting some use there. So you can see how that kind of correlates, how it kind of goes together. So consider that as well. But again, you can do research body types. This way it'll help you, make notes of it and stuff. And again, I always stress this, make a small goal. You got a long-term goal, but make a small goal and just start. Just accomplish that little one. And the more you learn about it, it does get easier along the way, and you're able to more maintain it, because also life happens, we get in that, those things go on there too, and we'll wind up eating bad stuff sometimes during rough times and stuff. But if you feel better and stuff, and you're more mindful of it, even kind of going through some rough time, you'll kind of pay attention still what you're eating there, just to, not just, again, it's like losing, I want to cut body fat, just cutting weight. You're looking at just overall health in general, a better quality of life through the long term. And that's what I like to teach, there. So not a short-term goal. I mean, as far as like, a destination, say, here's what I want to be, because once if you do make it there, then it's like, then what, So it's like, for me, if I'm going to compete in a bodybuilding competition, yes, I'll reduce my calories down. I change my whole diet. I don't recommend that to everybody, but I do change my diet. But after said season's done, then I kind of go back to a little bit normal eating. Now I pay attention to what I'm eating, and not really wanting to gain weight, but also internal, organ health as well. So I try to eat good there. So if I'm relaxed the diet somewhat, but I'm gonna try to eat healthy until, say, like the next time if I want to compete again, then I can just make that a little bit of adjustment, and I'll bring it back down. So some may consider that yo-yo dieting, but yo-yo dieting be like, fasting for long periods of time, and then eating. You might, do the fast some, and then you come off of it. I don't always recommend the fasting for a long-term thing either way. That's not something I just see myself going, oh, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because, hey, I do like to eat, but again, I want to be careful in the eating. So with that, it does help having, the proper diet and the eating and stuff. Look at, we got processed foods again, eating healthier. So it wants to help your overall health long-term as we age, and taking a more holistic approach with foods you cook and stuff. If you got a garden, hey, there you go. You can work with that there too. Supplementation. Something else that helps too with blood sugar is like taking cinnamon. Cinnamon, you can get cheap caps. You can put them on some stuff, whatever. I'll take them by themselves. Glucose support control, that helps too if you're in that calorie cutting phase, because what happens is too is, you have that crash, and you probably have like, like your blood sugar crash. You need to eat something, you're feeling old, faint and shaky and stuff. A lot of times, that's happened too. But like using some cinnamon or glucose support, it does help stabilize that throughout the day. Also using fat burners, weight loss supplements and something, use that wisely. You may have used them before, may have not, but you got to find the right one that really works for it. They are a good resource, but you got to use it correctly. You can't eat whatever you want and think you're going to take, you'll pop a few of them pills and you're going to look like a Greek god, some kind of supermodel. Okay. That's not how that works, but it will be accessible when you're doing a calorie cut, and you're cutting your carbohydrates to help, stop those hunger pangs as much as possible. And also got to be careful with some weight loss supplements is out there and stuff, and more acts as a laxative. You might take it, next thing you know, you're like, oh, I lost 3 or 4 pounds within 3 or 4 days or something like that, and you're probably sitting on the toilet most of it, and then it set you on fire, because that's all it is just a glorified laxative. And they try to say it this way. You don't need that, so don't take that. You're just kind of having fluid loss. If anything, you're not losing fat. All right, so anyway, with that being said, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for joining me, and if you like my channel, you can do the click the subscribe. Also hit the bell for notifications, and also follow me on Spotify, podcast on there as well as Missing Link Fitness LLC. Check out my website at missinglinkfitnessllc.com. Also do online training. You can also, if you're interested in that, you can contact me through that, and I can send you the setup on there. So until the next time, stay healthy, and I will talk to you again soon.